those who has been with LearningDex, they know how much I deal with this more and more and more. When people are going for interview, I spend time to say, oh, let's look at the project you've done, which is part of the project we've done in LearningDex. We look at it, we now break it down into more detail. So for today, we've got a team of data analysts. So let's look at the project request. We've got a project. This project has been requested by the director of sales via the sales manager to analytics units to develop. They've given us a project to develop. So we haven't gotten more information about this project, which is fine. So who are the team that want to work on this project? Data analyst, business intelligence analyst, data engineer, quality assurance persons, which is the QA that do the validation and verifications, and your analytics manager probably is the one that got the request from the sales director or the sales manager. Now, what is the situation? That is the case of what we want to look at. To develop key performance indicators for sales team members' performance compared to their targets. So definitely they want to see how these sales people are performing in actuals compared to their targets, which is great. Now, what is the task we want to do? We need to collect and process the sales data from the SQL server. We need to visualize the team KPIs such as volume, revenue, and profit. We need to build an interactive analytics report to track and present these KPIs effectively. What are the actions you need to take? Your ETLs will start. If you are not an end-to-end person, a data engineer, that's why you look at the team. We've got data engineer there. They perform the first task, extract sales data from SQL Server using queries. They know what to do. Sometimes they build their data pipeline on Azure and everything. But that, for what we are doing, we are extracting from SQL Server. Sometimes this file comes in Excel. This file comes as a data file somewhere seated in your lakehouse or your warehouse, Azure Synapse and other data storage places like that. So also clean and transformation and transform the data to calculate your KPIs. This can also be done by the data engineer, and this also can be further broken down by you, which is what you do when you get to Power BI. You can do a lot of cleaning in your Power Query environment, which is fine, and we'll look at all these things together today. Utilize Power BI to create data visualization and analytics. The last one is to implement interactive features in the report for dynamic analysis and tracking. Then what is the result? What do we want to get? The sales team, we have access to a comprehensive analytics dashboard that provide insights into their performance compared to targets set for volume, revenue, and profit. So these are the three KPIs now. So some of you might ask, what's KPIs, key performance indicators? So these are the ones for this organization and for this project is the volume. They want to know amount of volume they are pulling, which is what you can call as quantity. So the revenue, how much is coming in, and from the revenue, how much of it is the profit. Then the last part, this will enable a better decision making and performance improvement, and that is where the ultimate goal of this. Now, before we move ahead, any question? Any question? So the first thing we are going to do is to open up our SQL Server. You've got the project, what we want to do. So you go onto your SQL Server, which I've got my SQL Server and a SQL Management Studio where it's seated. This might take some time. So, and I'll look at my database. I've got one database here, which is LearnIndex. And in this database, you will look at it. I've got tables.
Sorry,
And
hold on. Mine is giving me an error.
so now I've gotten tables in this place. Now, the first one is the account table. I've got application table, card tables, leads tables, uh, particular tables, product table, prospect table, sales table, site table, staff tables. Now, this is the organization database, and most time you are not interested in all the tables, but sometimes, this is a relational database, so they are interrelated. So this is what you need to understand about data modeling so as to know how to relate or reference one table to the other. And all this is something that I would do in this situation. Now, the first thing is that we are interested in the sales performance in terms of volume, profit, revenue. So we want to see, for you to know the volume, you need to have the historical data of all the sales in the organization. And you need to know what revenue comes in, what profit. And the next thing you need to look at is what product is selling. What category of product? We've got product name, product category. So all this thing needs to be put together. If I would show you an idea, let's look at a kind of view of some of this data. And in my video, if you go through the YouTube channel of LearnIndex, how to import all this data into the SQL server and everything is there. I've made videos for that. You can subscribe and follow LearnIndex on YouTube, and you will get to see every information you need about this. So the first thing is, let's look at the products. I can right click on this product and go into select top on 1000 rows, which is not up to that, so which is fine. It's a product table. So let's see how it looks like. Oh, so this is a query. This is a query that would generate this table for me. Can you see that we've got 10 different product ID, that is 10 different product name in our organization. These are the product description, and these are the categories. So we've got 3 categories. So all this, and this is cool, it generates the code for you. That's fine. So like this table can be exported, can be saved as view as you want, but I just want you to have an idea of how the table is looking like. So let's look at another table that we are interested in, is to see, let's look at sites. Select top 1000 rows, which is not up to that as well, which is fine. So you can see that we've got England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland as our sites. This is fine as well. So that means that all these products are bought across different countries in the UK or regions in the UK, which is fine. Then the next one we would look at is, let's look at the sales, which is very important to us. And let's look at select top 1000 rows. We're just trying to have a view of it, not that this is, you get what I'm trying to say. Now you can see that there's a sales ID, account ID, product ID, site ID, card number, sales date, quantity, unit cost, unit price, total price. Now, this table is very, very interesting, and it's one, there's a name you can call this table. This is called a fat table. Now, in you should have this in your mind that table can be in two forms, either a dimensional table, which is a dimension table, or a fat table. Now, a fat table is the table that has all this information that you need. But if you look at the product table, this product table is a dimension table. We can use this table to track things. You see, we've got product ID column here. We can use this to track, to know what product was sold in this fat table. You see PD008. If you go back to the product table, you will see that that shows that it's an 1 gig broadband. So that's a dimension table. You can use it to do a lookup onto the sales table. So that means that it's possible for me to look up this sales table to the product table so as to know the name. You know, you've not got the product name in this place. So this will help you to know the name of the product that was purchased. And one thing you should know is that a good database management is designed in such a way that it only has some reference key. It won't give you all the full details. You have to look for the details. Like for me now, if I want to look for the site ID, I know that, oh, this is a site ID, because I can't have a site name here because there are other details about the site. So I will only have the reference that can point me to the word, to the site. You see the site now. So with this, except you know all these keys yourself, you can be able to know that, oh, this is where it means. But you can do your data modeling and be able to look up this and know what this is. And I always tell people that having a knowledge of Excel would help you to succeed in business intelligence analytics very well. And for some of our students in Learning Decks, they know how much I do to first tell them how it's looking in Excel. Sometimes I have to do a pivoting for them. Sometimes I have to do a VLOOKUP for them so as to see what they need to do. And all these things are something that we also break down in Power Query so as for everybody to see how this is done. So you can see that from this sales table, there are other things we can do. Now, if you look at, we've got revenue, and the revenue is the total price. That is the quantity times unit price will give us the what? The total price. So the total price is our revenue. So how do we get our profit? Is to do total price minus total cost will give us our what? Profit, which is our margin. So, but at default, this table is not giving us what we need as profit. That means we need to create that separately to have a margin before. So, and because we've already understood that we need volume, revenue, and profit. So it's obvious to see the volume, which is the quantity from these sales. It's obvious to see the price, which is the total price, but it's not obvious to see the profit. So we can create that column ourselves. So these are the basic tables we are looking at: the site table, the product table, and the sales table. And that we would use to create, we'll create our own table ourselves and use that to in our Power BI to start building our reports. So the next thing we are going to do is let's create this query in SQL for what we want to do. So you've got one option here. You can come up on this place and go on to new query. So in the query I want to create, I will bring all this table together, get the information I need, and that is all. Then I will save it as a view, and that is what I will connect to in my report. New query. Now the first thing is this. I want to have this. You might not be able to, because of the speed, I would try to write it fast though. I will create questions time that you can ask questions, and I would explain and show you other things and other information. So the first thing is I'm going to create a view. That is because that is what I want to use. Create view and say, let me give it refined sales. Refined sales. Then I'll say as. Now what I do is that I'm creating a kind of virtual table. That's what this command does. Creating a virtual table called refine sales. So I want to combine some things from account table, from sales table, from site table, and from product table into a new table. So that's what I want to use. So I'm giving it a name called refined sales. So the first thing I'm going to do, which is the default syntax, is I will do my select statement, which then in my select statement, I need to select the sales ID, which is coming from my sales table dot sales ID. Sometimes it's up to populate all these things for me, and which is fine with me. Now you can see that there is an error here that shows a red line. You know why it's showing a red line? Is that because the sales table has not been called on. So I'm saying get from sales table sales ID. It's sales ID I need, not sales date, please. I will get sales date at a point. You get me? So I'll get sales date at a point, but for now it's the sales date I need. Now, so it's showing me this because I haven't called the sales. Forget about this one. Is when I finish the code, it's going to. So the first thing I'm going to do is to now say, let's put this from. You can from sales. Do you see that it has taken off the error now? It has taken off the error now. So the next thing I'm going to do is to pick up a lead owner. That's the sales people in sales. So I will say accounts. So people in sales are in accounts. Their names. Accounts, which is dot. What's their name? I've got the name in the table. All these things are because of time. We have to just see how everything is going, which is called the lead owner. Then I can call it as, let me give it an alias as staff ID. So what, like other known, I don't want it to show as lead owner. I want it to show as staff ID. Now, the owner is having an issue as well because this account table has not been seen also. So, but I would definitely join both together. So I can come here and say, join. I bring this and push this way and say join with what? On what? Accounts. Do you see that he has taken out that error message for me? So I'm trying to take it in a granular way so as to get everything precise and for you to understand. So this is how we take this thing. Not that you are cramming things or you are looking at the logic, because you are trying to call somebody that is not in a class. that a class that does not exist. So I need to prove that this lead account exists in this account. That's why I called for it here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've got other things as well in the what's it called? I've got staff, so which has the name, the full name. So I can come up here and put in the staff. Let's quickly look at it. So I've got, let me show you this. Sometimes it's good you see this schema very well. Look at, I'm on staff now. Do you see that staff has first name and last name? So I want to join this first name and last name together and call it full name. Because this staff ID now, if staff ID 110 is Alex John, so I want to join Alex and John together as a full name. So that's what I want to do. So I want to bring these two columns, first name and last name, to this point. So what I'll do is to come in and use about a concat keyword. Now, see, all these things are keywords. If you want to do this, yeah, you're like, it's too much for me to cram all these things on my head. Don't waste your time on cramming things on your head. See, the thing is this. I don't just want to think anything in this life, but to eat and sleep and enjoy my life. You get? So, if I can think about it, then I will look for it. I will just ask me, what is the key? I will just go on Google and say, what is the keyword to join two text together? Now, instead of using text now, you use the right term called string. So you just see that Bing or this thing will just show you concat. And as you keep typing all this thing, once you've used it before, you keep memorizing, you keep keeping it in your dictionary that, oh, this is it. So concatenation. So don't just remember concatenation. How do I join two strings together in SQL? Just Google that. It will give you, then it will say you should use, it will give you the sign of the syntax. So, don't be afraid of what you want to do or because all these things are out there. Everybody knows them. Even the computer now knows it. Before we used to say computer is is an idiot, that garbage in, garbage out. But now, the lecturer that taught me undergraduate that computer is garbage in, garbage out. I wish I can see the computer now, the lecturer now, and say, what you did not give computer is giving you. So that's just a joke. So concat. What do I want to concat? I want to concat staff. Now that's the name. Look at it. Oh, I'm not using this schema DBO. Forget it. If you want to put DBO.staff, it's good for you. I will say staff dot. How is the first name spelled? Do you see it? I'll just say first name, comma. Now I want to join them together using a space. When you have John space Alex. So that's what I just did now. Then I'll now say staff again dot last name. Then I want to give it an alias so that it should call it what? Full name for me as full name. Do you see that now? I've gotten that on the table, which is fine for me, comma. Let me go on. I need to know the account number or the account ID of the transaction. So let me call again. Where do I see? So I will come back here. I can collapse this one, collapse this, and go on to sales again, and go on to column under my sales. In case if you've not mastered your database on your head. And the first thing is that when you get to an organization, which I always tell people, is that try to understand the database of your organization. Get familiar with them rather than doing all this. You get. So the next thing is that I want to take this account ID, which is the account number. As you have your your bank account number, you have your student ID, you have, all those. So so we put the account number now. So what do I do? What table do I want to pick this account number from? Sales table. So I can go ahead and say sales dot account ID, comma. I go to the next line. Then I need to know the products. I need to know the product name. So where do I know products now? So I go back to product table under column, and so let's say take it like this. You say just look at it, just type products dot product name. How is it spelled? See it here, pick it up, comma. So I've gotten that one again. Go to the next line. So I want to get the product category. So it's still under the product. I'll just go again and say product dot product category, comma. Go to the next line again. So I need to see the site name, that is to know the region in the UK. So I will just go on to, where I want to go is to go onto the site and go to the column and see I've got site ID and site name. So I'm only interested in the name. I will say site dot site name, comma. That's it for me. So the next thing is for me to look at the sales dates. Where can I get sales date? That should be from the sales table, because that's where the transaction information, which is my fact table. So you see the sales date here. Sales date is here. So I'll come here and put in and say sales dot sales date, comma. Then the next thing I need is the what? Is the quantity. Is the quantity I need. So where is the quantity as well? Is here in the sales. So I'll say sales dot quantity, comma. Move to the next one. Then the next one is for me to look at the revenue. For me to look at the revenue, and so I can as well change this one, and this quantity I can change the name and say as alias as what? Volume. I've explained this before. So let's look at the revenue as well. I will go and say sales dot, what am I looking for again? I'm looking at for revenue, and the revenue is the total price, what comes in. Then let's put it as what? Revenue. I'm trying to rename now. All these things is what you can do in Power Query. All this thing I'm doing, you can do it in Power Query. Finger crossed, if we've got the time, we'll look at them. But for those that would be coming into Learning Decks after this program, we are going to break this. We've got 4 industry-based projects to work on. Try to break things down ourselves. So that's how we roll on this one. So you go on to the next. So what have we got again? So the next thing is to talk about profits. Now, profit. And if you look at the sales column, we've got nothing like profit. But I know that you know how to get profit, which is total price minus total cost. That is our profit, which is cool. So how do you go about that? Let's try it out. We'll say bracket sales dot total price minus sales dot total cost, bracket close, and put it as profit. Now we've got everything now that we need. So I need to close up all this space. Now let's try to join our table. So from sales, we have the connection to what? To accounts. Join accounts. So what is the relationship between account and sales? What is the relationship between account and sales? That's the question you ask yourself, because when you are joining, these are all this, we'll break all these things down in further detail, but because of class, we will not be able to break them down in details. But I just want you to know that there's what we call a primary key that can be a foreign key in another place. A primary key in a table, like if you look at accounts now, let's say list of customers, all the customer account number in the customer table is going to be unique, like no duplicates. It must appear once, otherwise a customer will be having a duplicate account number. But a customer can perform plenty transactions with the same account number. That means that the account number is a primary key in the customer table, but it's a foreign key that can have many transactions in the sales table. So if you look at this sales table, we've got the account ID, and if you go onto the account as well, where we have accounts, we've got a lot of things there. So you see that we have account ID here. So this account ID is like, this account table is like the customer table. So this account ID is unique to everybody. But a particular account 101, like for instance now, your club card in Tesco is unique to you. But you can use the club card to buy something like multiple times, even in a day. So that means that every transaction you perform with that club card, it will be registered on your account, but at different time being recorded. But that doesn't change that your account will change. So that's what we are trying to explain here, but I would explain this later on. So let's see. And so this is the common, you see that both this one is common to this one. So at this place is a primary key, is a unique key, here, but in this place is not a unique key. It can have duplicate on sales. So I will say this account, join account on sales table, on sales dot what? Account ID equals to what? Account dot account ID. This is where we are joining both of them. Now, all these ones are showing red because we've not linked their table. That's why they are showing this. So we'll link them up. So the next one we go on to is to join again. Let's join staff on. So how does staff relate to account? On what ground does staff relate to account? Staff is related to account on lead. So when you look at the data, you would break it out. I will show you on lead owner to what? Staff dot we have staff. Sorry, this is staff dot staff ID. Which is this staff ID. Then I will join the product again. The products, which is the product table, join to sales, is joined to sales on product ID. So let me quickly explain this account. I think we are on account and staff now. If you look at accounts here, we've got what we call staff lead owner. The lead owner is another name that was used for staff ID in an account. But when it comes to staff, what's it called? In staff table, let me close this. In staff table here, where is the staff? So in our staff table, we've got it to be a staff ID. A staff ID. Now, that's why I said always be familiar with your data. Always familiar yourself with your data. So now products now is the next one. So I'll collapse this. So we look at products. Let me collapse this as well. And look at product and sales together. There is a product ID. And a product ID in product table is unique. But you can buy multiple products in sales. So it's not going to be unique there. So you see product ID here, product ID, product ID. So we've joined product on sales dot what? Product ID equals product dot what? Product ID. So this is the one that gives us the opportunity to reference these two columns. If we did not do this, this will not work. So if we did not do this, we will not have the what? The staff, what's it called? Where's the staff name? We will not have this concatenation for the staff name. So the last one we are going to do is to join to the what? To the site. You see that that's the only one that has red now because we've not joined it to the site. So we need to solve this problem. We need to create a reference table for this. So you go on this again and say join, and what's it? It's called sites. Sites on sales. Where is it joined to sales? It's joined to sales on site ID, which is equals to site dot what? Site ID. With this now, I've gotten the list of all what we need for the KPIs. We've got the sales ID, we've got the account, the staff ID, we've got the staff full name, we've got the account details, the product they bought, the category of the product, the city where they bought the product, the date, the volume, the revenue, the profit. So we've done our data loading, extractions in this part. So sometimes you see people talking about EDL, all those things. This is what you've done now. So we've gotten everything, and we are going to save it as what? Refined sales. So I've created, that's why I'm creating a view. So when I finish this now, it's going to come into this, what's it called? View, because this is the view. It's going to come into under this view. You will see this name will now come into this once I run this script. So I'm going to execute. So once I execute now, it's going to load into that place. So command completed successfully. So if I refresh this and go back to the view, what's the name we gave to it? You see dbo.refined sales. So I can right click this now and say select top 100 rows. Let's see how it's looking. Do you see all the details, all what we've created now? Do you see it? So at this point, we've prepared the data we want to use for the development. So you as a business intelligence analyst, and if you look at the project outline that we did, is to write some queries to extract the data that we need to develop this report. And that is what we've justified at this point. So we have it and we've created it as a view. So the next thing we are going to do is to go and connect this SQL server into Power BI to start our development. So when we get to Power BI, we are definitely still going to look at one or two transformation and bring in one or two information as well. Like if you look at it now, these are the actual sales, the actual volume, the actual revenue, the actual profit, but we've not seen the target file. So the target file doesn't go through the database. So they are going to give us as a different database, which is going to be an Excel database. So that is what we are going to do in the next phase of this master class. Okay, so let's move to the next stage, which we are okay with this one now. We'll go on to Power BI. I've got my Power BI this way open. It's going to take some time to load, and that's fine. So this is my Power BI environment. So the first thing is I come onto the new. So on this, what do? We need to bring in our data. So the first data we want to get is the view we created in SQL. So you can go import data from SQL Server, or you come onto this place and get it. So we want to import data from SQL Server. Go on to this. So you have this. So it's asking for the server name. I'll go back to my SQL Server where we've created this. I'll go on to connect, and I'm going to go to database engine. I'll copy this. Can cancel this. Can minimize this again and paste it here. Click. So if you remember, I did mention import and direct query. So this is, you are not doing any, if you are not doing any transformation at all, you can do a direct query. That's fine. But I will use import because I still want to perform one or two transformations so as to show you a bit of that. So I'm going to click OK. Someone asked, how do we load data into SQL Server? So ideally, when you are working in an organization, it's their transaction, this thing that goes into the SQL Server themselves from the website or from their sales platform or for the organization. But if you need to do that, if you go on our YouTube channel, I made the video of how I imported all the tables into the SQL Server. You will see everything there. So I will send the YouTube link very soon, and you will see how everything is done. So learn index, this is the database. I've only got one database. If you remember, I've got only one database. Learning there. That's why is showing us learning there. So in this, I'm going to expand this. And when we come in here, anyone that look like a double window is a view, while this one that look like a calendar is a table. So you remember it was a view we created, which is refined sales. Can you see that? You remember what we created, this one, refined sales. So if I tick on this now, I can have a preview of this. It's connecting to the SQL Server, which is quite understanding. So it's connecting to this view we've created in our SQL Server. Where's it again? Under refined sales, this one that has this information. So now I don't need to come in here again, so I can close my SQL Server. It doesn't need to be running. That's one good thing you should know as well. So it can be closed. Do I want to save this code? I don't need it. I don't need the code. So now you can see that the preview has finished loading and we've got everything created as said. So rule of thumb, I don't always like loading. I always like to transform my data in Power Query. So in case if there is anything I miss in cleaning up, we talked about data quality. So these are one of those things we want to look into. So the first thing is always try to transform your data before you load. So go on to transform data. This is going to pop up a Power Query editor. And this is what I told you. If you want to use this rather than going to SQL and everything. So I've got my table here. I can rename this. The first thing I can rename it and call it sales and put enter key, which is fine. Then I can decide to change all this name. I can change this staff ID that has underscore. I change it to staff if I want. I can change this account to, I can change this account ID to product name. The product name to just product name based on how I want it to appear. So let's try to do that. And put a space there. But in SQL, all those space will not be allowed. That's the funny thing. Because it has a strong rule of what is it called? Identifier rules in SQL, but Power Query doesn't consider all those things. So which is cool. Full name, staff ID together. That's like, I like that this way. So now what else do I need to just check? I can go onto view and just do a column quality. If I click on this column quality, you can see that I've got everything to be clean, which is fine for me. So if I just want to tell you another thing here, if you remember that we created this profit from what's it called? From total profit minus total price minus total cost. So admin, we've got the entire sales table. I can easily add a new column and do the multiplication and everything. So let's look at what else can we do here. So we are not really going to diving into Power Query today. So now this column is a date time column. This sales date, look at it. Can you see it has a clock below which shows that it's a sales time? So I want to do something. I want to extract only the date, not the time. So I'll go on to add new column. Let me just do one or two. So I will click on this column, then I'll go on to date and extract date only. Do you see? It has extracted the date only for me. So on this date again, I'll still on add column. I can still go on date and I say I want to extract the year only out of it. It has extracted the year. I can change this here to a text, like the data type. Yeah, I want to change it because a year is not is a number in terms of looking at it, but is a categorical variable. You can group something by year. So that's why. So all these things, I will break them down in our class and every other information. So dates, again, let's see what we can extract from dates. But I don't need to do all this here, sincerely, because the reason why I don't need to do all this is that I always like to work with what we call time intelligence. So I will remove this year I've added in my, you see everything I've done, there is a step that is being added here. So the last time was I changed the type. If I remove this now, it has removed the type. So I inserted here. If I click on this, it will take the year out. So, but I'm going to leave this one, but I will create a calendar table, which is a time intelligence, so as to connect every other things together with this one. So the next thing I'm going to do is to import other files. Where is our target file for the organization? You know, you've got the names of all these guys. Well, full names. You've got all their names. And these are what they are getting in terms of sales. And so let's see the target they've given to them. So, and that will lead us to another source file, which is not a SQL file or connecting to a SQL server, but an Excel file. You go on to new source. You see different, some of you go on an interview, they tell you, talk about different data sources that you can use. These are different data sources: Excel, text or CSV, JSON, Parquet, and all those things. So I like working with Parquet file more, because as a data engineer, this is where you see how you scale up a lot of size. So let's bring out our cell workbook. Now I've got my folder here. I've seen Masterclass targets. So that's the name I gave to the file. So it's actually a target file for the sales guys. So every month they tell them, oh, you must meet this target in terms of sales and all those things. And you see them, they start pushing, calling, seeing how they can meet up this target. So which is fine. So I'm still on Power Query environment. If I just click OK, it's going to load. I can rename it and call it targets. So I've got the dates. I've got the full name. Look at this quantity now. I will rename this quantity to volume. I'll change it to volume so as to be consistent with the other one. Revenue, profits. So you see that Donald Black has got for January, this is his target. You will see him again in February. So this is fine. We've got this. So another thing I want to bring in, the profile picture of each of these people that works in this organization, because in our visualization we want to see them toggle about their picture to get the result of what we want. So let's go on to new source again. So it's still an Excel file. I'll connect. Then I've got Masterclass image. Then I'll click on images, open. So you load this again. So I can call these images, which is fine as well. This is fine. So now there is something I want to do. Sometimes when you might have loaded so many data, I did not do that in SQL, just to show you the power of Power Query. There are a lot of things you can do. Like, it's not every person in the sales team they want to cover. Maybe there is a particular sales group, maybe they call them inbound sales group. It's only their sales performance they want to look at, not everybody in the organization. Not everybody in the organization. Now, if I want to do this now in SQL, I will now write a where clause in SQL. I will write a where clause where this full name is Kelvin, this reason to filter the names I want. But in Power Query, I'm not going to write a code, but I will do that. I will achieve that. We're just looking and doing it, just as if you are just browsing. And so what we want to do is that let's look at some selected persons. So I'm on the sales table. Let's look at some selected persons that we want to look at their sales performance. Not everybody we want to look at. So the first person, let's look at Jeffrey Glover. Let's look at another person we can move. Let's take Kelvin Buckley. Let's look at okay, Miranda. Just to select random, I just wish we have both male and female there, so as to balance this. Katie, and let's look at another one. Let's take Timothy Rogers. So how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say these are the 5 persons we want to see. So you see that this will reduce our data, and this is what you would have been struggling. Oh, how do I do a word clause in this thing based on all the queries we've written in SQL before? So with this, I'll filter them. You see, and the filter have been added to this now. So it's only the transaction of these people I can see. So the next thing is to go on to the target also, and I will also go on to the names, the same name I selected, the other one. So I will put them again in this place. So I think I will Jeffrey, Kelvin, Katie, Miranda, and the last one is Timothy Rogers. So this is 5. So we filter this as well. So let's go to the images as well and see, because it has the full name again. So let's filter by that one as well. Jeffrey, Katie, Kelvin, Miranda, and Timothy. Yes, you see, we've restricted them. We don't have to stress ourselves on the other person that the company did not give us in terms of this job specification of what we should do. So doing this to be specific, what is relevant is to avoid loading too much load on our system. Now, the last thing I want you to note before we wrap up this Power Query environment, if you remember on the sales table, which is the sales day, is a time date, I extracted date out. The reason why I extracted date out is that because the format of this date also is not date time. That's why I extracted the date out. Now, this is where some of you will go into an interview, they tell you about data consistency, data integrity, and all those things. This is what you are trying to see, that your data is consistent across what you are doing. So I've noticed that it doesn't look like that in that one. So don't let, because if something does not have time, automatically it takes that it is 12 midnight. But the one that now have time, it will not show. So I have to balance up everything. So that's the reason why I did that. And the other thing why this is important is that if you notice, I started extracting year, month, and all these things from this date. And now look at it, it doesn't make sense for me to extract it from this one. Why didn't I just create a calendar itself? Why didn't I create calendar? If I should create calendar, I can model this date to the calendar, model this date in target also to the calendar. So I can use the filter from the calendar to control both sales and target table together. And it helps me to write less code when it comes to that aspect of filtering things. So how do I do that? I need to create a blank query table to create a rolling calendar. And I always advise that as rule of thumb, it's good to have a rolling calendar, a time intelligence. It helps you to manage filtering in terms of dates effectively in your report. Don't worry, I will break this down in our further classes and all those things. So these are not a problem for you. So, and creating a time intelligence is not a problem. The only thing you need to know is that you go to your sales date. Go to the sales date. What is the minimum? The least date. So what you can do, you can just come here and what? See, sort. If you sort it ascending, but it will sort it ascending, it would show you the least dates that happen in your sales. Let me see. I think, let's see, is it descending or ascending? Oh, no. This might take some time because it's going to go through the what's it called? The SQL server to connect and all those things like that. So while this is doing that, I can okay. So now I'll go on to new source blank query. On the blank query, I'm going to use pound sign. No, equal sign first, equals pound sign date. I'll use 2021, the first day.
Is that pound sign? That is not pound. Oh, that is not pound sign. That's not hash.
Pound sign is the same thing as hash. I'm not saying pounds in terms of money. You get? So for general this we call it hash. So thank. Yeah, please. In case you have observation, like just send a message so as to get this out of the recording. So I've got this now. The next thing I'm going to do is to what? Why I use 2021 first day? I know that that's the first date in my sales this history because I built this. I synthetically wrote a Python script to generate this data that we are using for this course. So it's our property. So even if you are using it, don't use it outside our purpose. Now, what this will do is that what I want to create, it picks up this. The time intelligence now, like when you get to tomorrow's day, automatically the date will be increasing by itself. Tomorrow is going to be 21st of, what's it called? April 2024. It will automatically generate the next day on its own. Keep populating it. That is the function of this thing. So you don't need to come back here again. So this is the first thing you just need to do. Just press what? This is the only one you need to do by yourself. The other one, just copy and paste the code that would do the behavior for you. I'll click enter here. So it has entered. Then I always have the code somewhere because I know the code off head, but I've told you, things you know is available out there, don't stress your life on them. So you see this FX, I'm going to click on this FX. So I will just clean up this and paste this here and put enter. Sorry. Let me see what I've got. Now, you see, if I keep rolling down now, I keep rolling down, you see the years keep increasing. It will get to today's dates. When you open this report tomorrow, it will have tomorrow's date to it. That is the power of this time intelligence. Do you see that today is 28/04/2024? Yes, tomorrow's date automatically be added like that. So if you are not using time intelligence, please start using it. Now, for now, this is not a date yet. It is a list. I need to convert it to a table first. So I'll click on this list and go to table. I'll click on that and click OK. Now, this is still not yet a date or a calendar. So you see this ABC, this shows that the type is not a date this thing. Is this an alphanumeric type? So I will go on to this and take it as a date, not date time, so as to be consistent with the date in sales and target. So I can rename this name and call it what? Dates. Now, all the extraction I intend to do on sales before, I will now do them here. Now, understand one thing. Somebody is saying that why can't we use calendar auto bracket instead? Yes, that's a dash code you can use. You don't need to use that in Power Query environment. Are you with me? So you don't need to use calendar auto in this Power Query environment. If after we load this thing, we are now in our visualization this thing, and you want to develop this, you want to do this, just use calendar auto in your dash code and it will give you your result as well. You know, I've told you, don't cram things, just know how it works. That's why everybody is looking at it this way. So you can use calendar auto instead. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to extract all those features I wanted to extract before, year, month, and other things like that. So now we have transform and add column. So I want to add a column, so I have to bring it here like this. If I do transform, anything will change this current column. It's not going to add a new one. So always be sure of what you are doing. Add column, then go on to dates. We've had, so take on the year. I can change this one to text. Come here and go on to months, and come here as well. Let's take the month's name of month. You can as well take the week of the year. If you want to do a quarter information, that's fine as well. So I can rename this to be week. So someone would ask why month name and month this. You will see the difference when we get there. You see, I would have just used month name, but the reason why I extracted this month is to sort this one, because automatically the Power BI thinks this thing and it sorts it alphabetically. But you know, date is not sorted alphabetically, it's sorted by numbers. So that's why I will use this column with number to sort the name. That's why I decided to extract that. So with this now, we've done little. This is just little. There are a lot of transformation we will do in our class, and everything will break Power Query to nothing. We finish up everything that we can finish. When you keep, there are all this merge, append. How do you use them? How do you bring more this thing? And also, just the way we did this thing, extract all our data from SQL, I will bring the sales table, the account table, and everything, and bring them together and do all this development without writing code in Power Query, rather than going. So we only connect to the database directly, not creating a view. We'll create all those views in this Power Query environment. That is what we will be doing in the class. So we do it in Power BI, but for this class, I don't need to now want to create that part to start rushing all these things, because we've got limited time to quickly finish up this project, and time is not really on our side. So let's look at how we go on with this. So I'll go on to close and apply. Click on close and apply. This might take some time because it's connecting to the SQL server to load. That's fine with me. It's loading. So while that is running, if you got any question, please let me know. Someone is asking, can the visualization be done in SQL? you can't do the visualization in this SQL, but there's what we call SSRS, SQL Server Reporting System. So you can do your report, but it's not great. That's the truth. That's why organizations are transiting from SSRS, SSMIs to Power BI and Tableau. I worked with a company last year. I was employed for their transformation to transform them from their reporting system, and it's what they call crystal reporting, from crystal reporting to Power BI. So let's quickly change this name. Just right click on it. You can just put rename and call it calendar. Are we okay with that now? Now, there won't be time for me to break down data modeling to you guys today, but I will quickly run my modeling. I've explained some of them in SQL to you. I've explained some of them in SQL. And one thing I want you to know is that, please, when you load your data, sometimes Power BI will automatically model your data, but don't be deceived. Please don't be deceived. The reason why I'm saying that you should not be deceived is that don't let what he has modeled for you like you think is correct. Some persons, when they are working, they just okay, everything has been modeled. You see everything connecting, but you need to check them, because he might just, because he see full name here, he see full name there, that's why he joined them. But what if that's not a metric or a way you want to join them? So what I normally do, I would sometimes disconnect all of them and model it myself. And also there are rules of data modeling. There is one to many, many to many. So different rules of data modeling, and this will help you. You know, when you build a report and you see report having errors, wrong values, and all those things, it's because of the modeling. That's where the problem comes from. So it's a big topic on its own that on each class I teach them. I give different scenarios of the mapping and tell the student, oh, this is how you model this, this is how you do this. For this case, this is it. So I have to break all those things down in the class. And if you don't have this understanding of relationship database, relative database like this, it gives a lot of headache, and you just keep working and you'll be asking, why is the result not correct, and all those things like that. So now this one, target and image, is on full name. I'm okay with that. This one and this one is on full name. I'm okay with that because that's what I want. Now I want to bring in dates. All my dates should go onto these dates. All the column that has dates will go onto these dates, and all this relationship with one arrow facing up like this is called many to one. So I'll take this one also and join it with this one. Then there are some relationship that you will establish. It will not be active. I will show you an instance of an inactive relationship now. Now, if I select full name, I can see the value of the volume, but I cannot see the value of the volume of the target by selecting this one. So I need to model this sales table and this target together using this full name, but it's not going to be an active relationship. I'm bringing it on the full name now. Now it's saying many to many because full name, the number of full name in the sales is the same thing with the number of full name in the other one. So it's a many to many. Look at it, this name and this, so it's many to many. normally an ideal one is to try and get many to one as a single featuring, but this one is now going to be a both featuring. That's this arrow, instead of this arrow becoming one, it will be two arrows. But in this case now, it's not even going to be active because the position of the first position is being used. So I'll click on OK. So somebody is asking, how do you know which one is primary key? Yes, these are all the things I said you're supposed to know about modeling. And in the Excel, in SQL, I have tried to explain something around that before. Now, a primary key, let me just say it in a layman term for you. So, okay, I'll give you the scope of how you know a primary key when you are doing your modeling. So that will just it will just short every English you've known about primary key. If I give you the trick around it, then so I've joined this one together now. So let's quickly delve. So yeah, the question you are asking, that how do you know which one of the model to choose by itself? I've told you that the default one might not always be right because you might just take the name. But how do you know it? That is the art of you understanding data modeling, and it's one of the requirements in many job description. So let me quickly show you something on this one now. I'm going to go on to the sales dates. Now, in the sales date, sales ID is the primary key. Now, the reason why, the question you will ask me, that why did I know that sales ID is the primary key? There is no sales transaction that will be the same thing. The same name can buy the same product with the same account, the same distance, the same amount, the same time. It's possible, but the transaction ID will be different because it's just like an invoice number. You know, invoice number in any transaction is not the same thing. So this sales ID is so look at it now. I'm going to click on this and you will see that it will be distinct value. I've clicked on the sales ID. Do you see that I have 124? Look at the bottom part here. 12449. Sorry, 124,459 rows as against what distinct value of 124,459. That's that there is no repetition. But if I click on sales ID, you see there is only 5 distinct account number that is there. So with that, I know that that's my primary key. Now, oh, okay, yeah, I can't really do a lot of modeling here because I didn't even bring in. Sorry, your question is, sorry for the confusion. My question is, how do you know which primary key the model used to link two tables? See, I'm not too sure if I understand your question. I will give you room to ask that question very well. So that would help everybody on the question. That will help everyone on this question.
All right. Can I talk?
Can you? So there are a lot of things to do about modeling. This is just a bit of one situation, but it's a big deal. But by the time we go through all these things together, you'll be sleeping and you'll be modeling data and databases. So let's move to the next one, which is here. Now, this report view, this is where you build your visualization. This is the table. This is where you do your schema. This is now a new dash query view that they just created. And the good thing now is that Power BI has got Copilot that helps you write your code. If you just want to write measure, you don't even know how to write it. Use Copilot and you get what you want. Easy, no problem. That's fine. Now, the first thing is this. We're going to bring in I don't know. This is my sheet in development. Sometimes I beg people, please, can you help me do a background? But my students, I teach them how to go about that, how to get your color preference, everything, those schemes, so that if you are going for a job interview, and they send you data, because most BI intelligence job, they send data to candidates and to do and submit and come and present. If I sit down and push, if you've gone through learning decks and you prepare your dashboard and everything, they will never mark you down based on your dashboard. They will never mark you down on that interview. So this is one of my sheets that I use. So the first thing is this. I'll go onto the background under visualization. So I'm not going to explain all these things to you today, but we'll see how we use some of them. So we go on to canvas background. I'm going to use an image. I've got an image somewhere, and the image, I've put it as background. You see, I've got some image which I will use also in this work. I'll put it open. So the image is here, but the transparency is 100%. I can change it to 0 and press enter. Do you see my background now? I've got a background rather than the white background. Now, some of you will ask me, no, I don't like this thing. When your visualization start coming in, you begin to see the beauty of why you use this background and how you should have the best color preference to it. Not just because it's there, you should have the best color preference. So the next thing we're going to do is to bring up some visualization. So these are different visuals. And I talked about charts, graphs, slicer, and other things. So we've got this card, this is the old card, this is the new card. We've got new slicer, we've got the old slicer. So anyone you want to use, it's up to you. You get. So the first thing is that I want to bring up a slicer. Once you click it, it's going to pop up. And I'm going to put this slicer here. Then I would expand this slicer. Don't worry about it. This slicer is like the drop down this thing in Excel. When you go onto Excel data and you allow filter that you see a drop down, that's what this slicer is. But it's how you use it that matters. So I'm going to go onto something. You see this image. What I did, let me quickly run you through. I went online. I went on iStock, iStock photo, pick some URL of some pictures and attach it, put them on an Excel sheet and you get what I'm trying to say. This is what I did. So these are the links. So all these links now, it's not going to show. Instead of showing this link now, it's going to show me picture. That's the one thing. So the first thing is that I'm going to use URL. I'll click on this URL. Now it's not showing me picture, it's showing me link. Disappointment. What do? You click on this. Data category. Change it to image URL and wait for it. Now, this is not where I'm going to. This is not where I'm going to. So I'm still on it. Try to see that you highlight this. So let's format it. Go to layout. Then let's change it. I want it to be on one row. Change it to 5. Do you see that it's on one row now? I can decide to reduce it so that it will, or based on how you want it. If you want it big. So now I'm seeing this URL here. I don't want it. So what do? I can come back here and sorry, I'll go to general first. You see this title, I'll turn off the title so that this URL should not show. So I've taken it out. Now this stuff has a background. I don't want the background. So I'll go on to effect and turn off the white background. The picture has its own white background, so I don't have issue with that. It's the background in between. You get it? Which I've gotten that now out. So another thing, let me still see what I can get from here. I want to make it, let me give it a border layout. Yes, which is fine. I've sorted that out. Let's see, images. So what do we want to do when it comes to the images? Okay, let's try to look at buttons. Do we have any fill? Take it off. If there is any fill, I've taken it off. So let's look at border. So it's having a border that is like this. So let me look for something like this as a border. Now, can you see it's having something like a yellowish kind of border? I can as well still come here and still on the button. Yeah, so I can, on the border, I can increase it. Let me increase the width. I think this makes more sense. I can see the yellow coming out. That is a bit blending to the background, which is fine. Then now let me push this up a bit. Let me push this up a bit. I want to bring the names of these people. But the first thing I'll do is that I need to sort them. Let me sort them. I would go back to the image, you get, and I will sort this name by the series. By the series. So let's go back here. Now, the next thing we need to do is, if I do this, I can do something here. I can Control C this, then Control V. Look at what I want to do. I want to know the name of each person. So I'm taking off, I will take off this URL because I've already sorted it out. Then I will use full name. Then I will go on to color value and give my color value to be white so that I can see their name. You see what's happening here? Can someone tell me? You see, it's not arranged in the same way because this is Timmy Rogers and this one is this one, Miranda Kim, and it's not showing the way it was. So what do I do again? I'll come back here, go on to images. I will click on this and sort it by the series. And I'll let it load. Now, I need to know the order of where it's sorted. Okay. So just another thing I need to do, because I'm not too sure of their name. So I'll come up on this place and what's the, is it color value again? And go on to label. What's the value of the label? I will add on the label the full name and change the text to white. I can't see the, okay. Can you all see this now? Can you all see the names? So I don't need this one again that I did. So, which is, this guy is Jeffrey Glover, Katie Harrison, Kelvin Buckler, Miranda Kim, and Timothy. So I've seen their name the way it is, which is fine with me, but I don't need this. I don't need this, the name here, because the design I intend to do, it's a bit complex. So for now, let's have it like this, so you know their names based on their pictures. So let's quickly do other visualization so as to see things before I will come back to these parts. Let's see. So I'm going to, let's draw a line to segment things out. So insert, I want to insert a shape, and this is the shape I want to insert. Bring it down. Bring this a bit down, because we're going to write something at the top. After some time, we can scroll this down. So I don't like this blue line. I can come in into this. Oh, see, go to this style. Fill color should be, what color should it be? Should it be white? Does it really need a fill color? This, yeah, so something like this is fine. So I can as well, that's the border. I can come here and just see if I need to make it a bit fainted. Let's put like 20, so it's not just a clear white. So the next thing we're going to have is to let's have a text. Let's have a text. You bring in a text here, go onto your text bar and type team performance versus targets analytics. So you can, I like this. Let's give it probably what number would be okay, 40. So let's use 36. 40 seems too big, and I can change this to area. So you move this, you can move it a bit to the top, then try to see that it's well aligned. Now, another thing is this, I will change this text color to white. Or if I change it to white, I will not see anything there. So I will click on this again, and I'll go to effect and take off the background. I guess this makes sense now. I can double click on this again so as to centralize this. I guess to still move this one down. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to go in and insert a shape. Let me insert a rectangle. Now all these things also, you don't need to, you can be dimension specific. Like anything you are doing, try to use scale. Like I can make this one, like go to the general, and I put it like maybe 160 by 320. So I'll put it at the center, and then I can go to the effects, and so I don't have a background to this, so I'll go to the style and remove the fill, turn the fill up. So then I'll give it a border that is white. Then I can increase the border maybe to something like this. If it's not too thick, this is fine. This is fine. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in, this is just one phase of what we are doing, is to bring in other features. Let's bring in other features. So let's go to insert again and go into button, and let me bring in a blank button and put it somewhere here. And then I can take this button properties, I can go to the style, and the fill, I'll fill it up with, turn it on and fill it up with something like a yellow. I can come to more color. The kind of yellow I want could just be something like this, but yeah, it's looking as if the yellow doesn't make sense because of this transparent. I can make it 0, so it should be colorful now. Now the same thing on this one is that I can come onto the style, and so we've got this out. So I can put a text on this. I'll turn on the text and put profits. Then I would change it to, where's area again, and increase this to like 15. Maybe I make it bold, something like this is fine. Then I can as well, what can I do with this again? Let me go to the shape and make it a rounded rectangle. Yeah, I think this makes sense. So what do I want to do? Let me copy, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I want to duplicate. I'll copy this again, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I want to duplicate. Now, I can easily align this. I click on this, hold your Control Shift, hold this one, then go onto Format, then Align, distribute horizontally, align again, distribute vertically. So everything is well aligned for me. So I can change this one and go to the style, and where I've got the profit, I'll change it to revenue, which is fine. I'll come up here where I've got the profit, I'll change it to volume, which is fine as well. Then I've got this. So what we are trying to do, maybe this might start relating something to you, that we are telling a story that I can click on profit, the values will change, will show up here in terms of performance. Click on revenue, the value will change in this box. Click on volume, the value will change in this box. Then if I click on profit, I click on this guy, the value of this guy, that's what will show here. If I click on this, is the value of this guy, and then I can change in between as well, like that. This is what we want to build. So after that, the next thing is that we'll create this name and bring it down here. Then if I'm not clicking this person's picture, if I click the name, it's going to take me to another page and show the full sales analytics of that person. If I click the name of the next person, it takes me to another page and show the full name analytics of that person. That is the story we are telling. I believe that you can relate with this story now, the way we are coming up with the concepts. So let's move ahead. And what else do we need to type in here? I can as well come in here and type in, maybe probably bring a text. Let's go onto insert, and I'll come up here and say year to date results versus targets. Click, highlight it, change the what number can I use? Probably I think this is quite too much for me to use, so I can use 14, then change it to area, so just to be consistent with the font we are using as well. So drag it like this, then you bring this one this way, and you bring this somewhere at this, you can get the center of this. But one thing I just noticed now is that I should reduce this, because I still need to bring in something else. So let me make this one 12. Then, so the next thing is I'm going to change this text to white. Yeah, you can see it, no problem. Go to effect and turn off the background. Turn off the background. Yes. You can move it a bit up to this way. Yes, we've got this. Is it possible for me to make it bold? Yes. Is it possible to centralize it? Yes. Is it possible to expand it because I don't want it to go to next line? Yes. Now, I'm going to take this guy again. I would click it and Ctrl C and Ctrl V so as to duplicate it. But this time around, I'm going to give it a name different. I'll call it price. I'll call it price. Then I can reduce this. I can also increase it because it should be bigger. I think 16 for price. You get what I'm trying to do. I'll bring it up this way, the same line with this. So by the time I click on this price will show, then I'll have value. So if I click on this will change to revenue. I will have that. We are going to get to that point. We're going to get to that point. So the next thing we are going to look at is to write some comment as well. Let's take this as well. Let's copy this again. Control C, Control V. I'll bring this way. I'll bring it, let it stay a bit down. Let me see how it's standing. Yes, this looks okay. I'm going to unbold it and write. I'll type yeah, so this is more like an instruction. Click image to view this. So by the time you click this, it gives you this. You click that, it gives. So making it easy for people to use without so many stress and other things like that. So the next thing we're going to look at is to get our measures now. We need to create measures. 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 So what are measures? We have calculated measures and calculated columns. Like in normal program, what we call variable, like trying to write a simple function to keep something, a variable that you can use over and over. And most time we put a measure in a card so as to display. Like now, the total sales, I'll just write sum of all sales in Excel now, sigma equals sum bracket column A1, bracket A1 column maybe A225 close. That's the sum. So that's it. So that's what you are doing in writing measure. But my rule of thumb also is that if I want to write measure, I always like to create measure table. I like to create measure table. So I keep all my measures in the same place. And if I'm writing multiple measures, I try to group them in a descriptive name so as to keep them where I want them to be. So the first thing is this. You go onto the Home tab, go onto Enter Data. That's like a virtual table that I want to keep all my measures for now. So I will call it measure table. Just put it like measure table. So know that it's all measures that I'll be keeping inside this place. The table will be created for me here with a default empty column. With that doesn't matter. You can definitely delete that at a point as you continue to write more measures. So we'll look at different measures we'll write. So the measure table is here already. The first one is, so I will not delete this now until I create the first one. So I don't need this one. So how do you create a measure? You just right click on the table, you see new measure. If it is a column, but you create a column in a table, not outside. There must be a table like sales table. I can create a calculated that. So we'll treat all those ones in the proper class where you begin to derive different tables. You know, when it comes to analytics, it's like out of insight. How do you get more information from an existing information you've got? So let's go on to new measure. So the first one is that let's calculate the actual profit. So you know all the sales record, we want to sum them the way you sum a sales column. So the column that has profit, we want to sum it up. So that's what we want to do here. Just think of your Excel, but how do you write the formula? Don't cram it. Don't cram it. If you haven't gotten it now, just go on Google or put on Bing and just say, how do you sum the total values in a column using DAX? Just know the key language and what you want to do. So yeah, as you keep practicing this thing becomes part of you. That is just it. What you do and do becomes part of you. But first start by asking the right question. And these are part of what you will develop also in the class as well. So the first thing is going to be, let's give it a descriptive name. Let's call it Azure Profit. That's the Azure profit that comes from the sales information. So all the profit of that person, want to sum it together. So in Excel, you say equal sign sum. So what are we doing now? Well, the equal sign is already here now. We just say sum. You can also complete it. Now, what table do you have that you want? What is the name of the table you have that profit you want to sum together? Is in sales table. So just put what? Sales. Then select the column sales profit. Yes, that's it. Close the bracket. Press enter. You've got it. So Azure, what's it called? Revenue. The same thing you would do. So I can delete this column 1 now because I've already put something, so it's not empty again. I can come here and say delete model. Yes. So let's create this other one, new measure, Azure revenue. Just give it a name. Revenue equals to sum again, the way you do in Excel, sum of what? We can see the revenue in your sales table. So go to the what? Revenue. Put it, close the bracket, press enter. Even if you did not close that bracket, it will close it automatically for you. For those that is asking, what is it doing? What is it doing? What we are doing is this. Let me go onto the table view. I'll click on sales. Sales. What we are doing is this. You will say, sum everything on this sales table for us. Everything on this sales table, sum it for us. What we did now is that sum everything on this revenue table for us. Then the next one, sum everything on this volume table. That's what we are just doing. So assume this is an Excel. This is cell what? This is cell A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So now you are not saying cell I now. You are going to say cell volume. So rather than saying cell volume now, you say sales volume because it's in sales table. Do you see the logic? Very easy. Just follow through like that and keep writing this. The major thing that is complex is where we're coming from. So where we are going, we are very close to it. So let's go back on this one and go on to new measure. So we want to do for Azure volume. We'll say Azure volume equals sum sales. Look for my volume, put it there, close bracket, press enter. Now the next one we want to do, let's do for the target as well. Let me go on to the target. I want to go on to this target as well. Sum everything on this row, sum everything on this row, column, sum everything on this column. So we want to sum everything as well. So the same approach we are going to do. You right click on this, new measure, So this time we are not going to call it target. We are going to call it what? As Azure. We'll call it target. We are not going to call it Azure. So you just say target profit equals to sum of target. Once you type it, you will to populate. Go down to it and use your tab key to get it. Close it up and you use your enter key. So the next one we go do is to be for the revenue. We put it as target revenue equals sum. Then you look at target revenue, bracket close, enter. Then the last one for this one is what? Is to look at target volume equals to sum of target volume. I will not put close bracket now, it will do it itself. So that's it. To run. See, it closes it by itself. So now let's quickly do something again. You know, I told you consistency, having the right format for each of your values. So profit is in currency, you know. So click back on this one and let's go to the format, change it to currency. So let's take pound sign, which is fine for those in the UK. So you can change the number of decimal place you want to put it as you like. So go to the Azure revenue as well. Click on Azure revenue. Revenue is also money, so it's currency. Use the pound sign. Then volume is not, so we leave volume the way it is. You go on to target profit, change this also to pound sign. So you go on to revenue, target revenue, and you pick this also to be pound. This is fine. So let me quickly just give you a playthrough of something. Let me take a card. I'm going to delete it. I don't need it. So that's not where we're going. I'll pick up a card visual. Select a card visual here. It's coming up. So this is a card visual. So let me pick Azure Profit. So you see this Azure Profit here. If I come here, I want to format it, the call out value, display unit, I want to take it to none. So it should show me the full value rather than you get. So I can change this font. It's too much. I don't know why it will start with 45. So I can use, let me use 16, which is very small, but no worries about it. So, and let's be consistent with our type as well. Okay, so you see that the pound sign we put and everything here, it's fine. So if I select this guy, you know, it said click image to view target performance. If I select Jeffrey, it will change to the value of Jeffrey only. You see, 756. If I select Katie, if I select Kelvin, if I select You see, so if I take off this again, it gets me to the default value, so which is fine, but this is not what we want to do. So disregard this, but I still need this. I still need this, but let me quickly format this because this is what I will use for the next thing. So it's better I format it. Let me quickly go on to the format. I don't need this category label. I'll turn it off. So I'll go on to the general. The properties is a big, so let me go on to the effect and take off the background. Then I'll go back to the visuals, the color value, and give it a white color. Then I can come in here to reduce this. I would increase this a bit. Let me make this like 24. And I'll make it bold. For now, I'm going to use this, but this is not what I want to keep in there. Note that. So we want to look at YTD result versus target. So we want to know if this customer has actually achieved something, what has this customer got? Like what percentage? Is it 5% higher than its target or minus 2% less than the target? So that's what we want to do. So we'll do the YTD profit percentage. So the formula is also like using Excel. So we will divide actual profit over target profit. If the value is empty, we'll make it 0. So we'll make it 0, and then if not, we'll just try to push it up like that. Okay, so from what I said before is that we want to look at the percentage. So let's quickly write the function also, the dash code, the measure, and just call it what you think is convenient. Don't cram things. So let's call it YTD profit so now what do we want to do? We want to divide. Now note this, we can say the measure of actual profit divided by target minus 1, it will give us what we want. But in case when is giving you an infinite value, you can't divide by 0 and all these things. So let's write the function in the right way. Just use divide keyword. Then you remember we've created the actual profit as a measure. So for you to use a profit, a measure in calculation, just use a block bracket, profit, comma, that's the first parameters. Look at the first parameter. Look at it's giving you a clue. Numerator, primary school now, numerator and denominator. So the numerator is our actual profit. Then you go on to the next one and say target profit. Then it's asking for an alternate result. In case the division is not a good one, it should just return a 0 value for us. You get bracket close, then put minus 1 so as to know the remainder of what is remaining in the percentage. Then use your enter key. Use enter key. Now this is supposed to be a percentage, so I will tell you to click on percentage. So this is it. I'm clicking on it, YTD. Then I'll change this to percentage. So look at this card now. Remember this card? I said I need it. I'm going to remove the actual profit I put there before. I'm going to remove it here. Then I'll come to this place and take it. To take the percentage. Now, somebody is saying this value is too much because it's funny. Now, this is it. This is it. We are going to do something here. Let me bring it here first. I'll bring it here first. Let's have a filter for year. This is the general view. So I'll quickly come here and come into a slicer. I'll bring up a slicer. Then I will go on to calendar and I will select year. You see all the years we've got now. If I select 2023, it's going to change it now. You get. So let me quickly do formatting on this. So things should not look odd and all those things, you know. Let me make it a drop down. Select this way. Where do I even want to put it that it will not look odd? I don't even know. I don't even know where I put it. Okay, let's quickly do something around this background. Let's see effects, take off the background. Now go back to this slicer, values, change it to white. Then it has slicer header, change it to white. Let's change this to area. And so this one more thing, we can't see this number again. You get? We can't see it again. So what do? We need to come back here and values, go on to the background, and let's make this background black so we can see it now. So let's use our default. You know, we are comparing target and this. So you see what we've got. If I go with this guy now, Jeffrey Glover, it's negative. That this guy did not meet his target in 2023. Let's look at Katie. Great. She's doing well. Kelvin, great. Miranda, negative. Well, so can click on this. So this is the overall performance. So at least the company is doing well. Let me increase this font a bit. Let me increase it. Color value. Let me use 28. Then I can now one more thing on this part. I will copy. No, don't. I'm not going to copy this now. Let's try and use, you know, when you go through this, you have conditional formatting. You have conditional formatting in Excel using up arrow with green, down arrow, red arrow, which is facing down for negative and all those things. Let's have this also in this our visualization. So how do we go about that? So we are going to create another format. So this might be a bit complex, like in terms of, it's still the same way. I can drag you through the process. It's it's not a problem, but it's very important that we have it. So let's create let's get another table for, let's call it format measure. We've been doing format now we want to step it up a bit. So format measure and the format table. Load this. And all these code are reusable codes, so you don't need to stress yourself on all of them on thinking, how am I going to go about these things? Once you've done this project once, many projects look similar. Codes are something you reuse, so you pick it up and you reuse it. So the first one we are going to do is to look at profit description. We'll look at profit description. So how do we create this? I would come here, right click on new measure. Now there's something we call in programming, we call it if-else statement. If name is Alex, go to room 1. If name is John, go to room 3. If name is Francis, go to room 4, and so forth like that. These are an if statement, so we can use that. So another way to minimize writing code in an if statement is to use a switch statement. So in this one, we'll create a variable and we'll use a switch statement to do this. Switch is like if. So now the first thing is let's write on these, all these basic, the art of all these things. We'll break it down and you see how everything works. Description, that's the name I want to give. Profit description equals to, go to the next line. Let me create a variable. A variable value changes more. So this is the way to create a variable in DAX. When you type var, that's how you create a variable. That's, you declare a variable. When you declare a variable, let's call it like diff. Let's call it diff equals. Now let's take our measure. What's the measure we created? YTD target. That's the measure. So go back again. Let's create another variable called var again. And let's declare another variable. That's not the variable. This is the variable, but this is a declaration that we want to write a variable. So this is the variable div. So we put the value of this one into this div. That's what it means. So then we call it what? Direction. Let's give it a name like direction. And we say direction equals. So this is, we want to bring the if statement, which we want to use switch. Switch true, comma. Then if the value of diff is greater than 0, that's that percentage. If the percentage is greater than 0, you get comma. It should give us the up arrow. It should give us the up arrow. How do you write the up arrow? Is hold your window key. I will repeat it again. Hold your window key and tap dot on your keyboard. It's going to pop up emojis on Power BI, to pop up emojis in Power BI. So you bring this down. So you scroll down. You can, if you didn't see it here, you can scroll to different, start looking at it. So this is what we need. So that means that if the percentage is positive, that's what, if diff greater than 0 is positive, you should use this arrow. I put it in quotes, comma, go to the next place and say diff. If the percentage is negative, that's less than 0 now. The same thing, hold your window key and tap dot on your keyboard. Then scroll to look for it. You can check different tabs if you don't see it. So we'll use the what? The down arrow. Close the code, put comma, So what's the last condition? If that percentage is equal 0, comma, so what sign do we want? Hold the window key and the dots. So let's use this sign, this one. So it's not going up, it's not increasing. So bracket close, go to the next line. So when you declare a variable, you return the value. Return. What do we want to return now? We want to return discretion. We want to return direction rather. That's what we want to return. So we said if any of these condition, so if the year-to-date value is positive, it should return this arrow as direction, which will now be the value of this one. If it's the other way, this one. If it's the other way, that one. So switch statement help us to write limited code. That's the advantage of this. So I'm going to say okay now. Now let's see what we've got. Let me take off this one. Let me take off this column because I've put something there, so there's no point for me to have it. Now let me copy this. I'm going to copy this. I would reduce it a bit. I want to copy this, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Look at what I want to do. I copy it, so I will remove this one and put this one there. So I can reduce it. You know that because this value is positive, that's why it's like this. I think which one? Somebody is negative. I think Miranda is negative. Let's click Miranda. You see that it's down. The arrow change. Now, we can bring this here. We can bring this to this point. And another thing is this is not well descriptive enough. We should be able to, at least, let's color code this thing. So if it is negative, this arrow should be red. If it is positive, the arrow should be what? Green. So how do we do that? Let's create another format. Another format again. You know, all these things are just logic. They are logic. Right click on this. New measure. You see, I'm just doing separate things, joining them together. Not that everything that looks so complex, just break them into bits and have the results the way you want it to be. So you have a new one. Let's call it profit color. Color equals. Go on to the next line. Let's declare a var. So let's use div as the var. Okay. Div equals to, so profit, we are still dealing with year-to-date profit. After this one is copy and paste I'll be doing, because there's no point to write any other code again. We'll reuse the code. That's the power of all these things. And sometimes on different projects, you will not even write a code again. What you've done before, just write the code, change the name. It's different, it's almost the same thing. Switch again, and let's use true. Div So you know the condition now again, greater than 0. If it's greater than, but this time now I'm not going to use that sign again. You know what I want to use? I want to use color. So please try to know the, let me try to know the color combination. What is the color? Can someone check the hexadecimal code for red? No, for green for me, please. Can someone tell me the color this thing for green? You can put it in the chat if you know the color code for green. Oh, green. Thank you very much. So I've gotten that. So this is, oh, okay. So can someone get for red? Then what color can we use for neutral? I think white should be okay. Can we have for white, please? Oh, thank you. So, having done this now, we move on to this and close our switch statement. Now, I will tell you the trick around this one. You know, this one is just like to write a condition to say if this one be this color, if it's this one, give me this color. If it's that one, give me this color. That's the logic around this. Now, look at the play around with this one now. The way I'm going to use it. So, I'm not going to create a new card again. I will click on this. You know, it's saying this thing as a measure, the way this value is. I will click on this. I'll go onto this now and go onto the color value. You remember that I will just go on color and select color of what I want. If I go on color and just select, for instance, red now, the value changed to red. But the condition will not be applicable for others. You will now see that this thing, it will not be applicable for others because it's static. You can just say, so I will not do that. So I will just come onto this condition formatting, just the way you have condition formatting in Excel. I will just click on FX. Then I will go to, instead of using rules, I'll go to field value. Then I'll come on to format. So this is it. You see it, profit color that I just created. I'll just say enter. You see the red now. So let's change to this person. I think this guy is positive. Oh, okay. Okay, this person is positive. You see it? You see how it's dynamic now? So this is interesting. Now, the next thing we want to look at for this part is to now make this our button to control this, because we are looking at price only now. We are looking at price only. So let's quickly do something quick. Let's do something quick. You see how this measure we wrote now, this one for profit. Let's duplicate it to make it for revenue and volume. Right, copy, right click, measure. Then change this name to revenue and change this one to revenue. Change this to revenue. Press enter. Remember to make it percentage. So the next one again, let's do for volume. Then we'll make this percentage as well. Okay. Someone is asking if why we are making it -1. Just an easy way you can do that is this. You do the actual profit. Okay, let me quickly explain that. Okay, let me finish up this and I would explain it to you, because I believe this is just a normal accounting or business calculation, which is not a technical thing for us. But please, I would explain to you, I will show you it why it's taking minus. Definitely I will show you, please, but let me continue with this, please. Now, okay, I've done these ones now, so I will come on to these descriptions now again. Let me quickly copy and paste. Sorry for this. Yeah, that's how it works sometimes. So you was only one you think of a problem, then once you just know your way around it again. And the good thing is this, that when you have situations like this, you remember, oh, I've done this thing before. Go back to that and copy it and do it. Even there was a project I did recently where I'm working, and I remember I taught some students something like that, and I went to my video and our learning decks, because we've got courses on learning decks. There's a course 100% free. You can go there, you watch. Then I think so there's one that for paid people then is there also, but just it was from the free one. I implemented this and I went there. I used it to solve my problem. I was the one who did the tutorial because I don't want to think of the logic of writing the code. So I use it. So all these things, if they are hands-on, you can definitely reuse them. So I'm going to change this one to revenue. So this is fine. Press enter. Then the next one is the color. Okay. Yes. So we are done with duplicating all these measure now. So we are getting there. Getting there. Okay. So having gotten all these measures, everything we need, correct. They are all fine. They are all fine. Now, the question you asked is that how do we now create this revenue? Yes, this is, we are only seeing profit. We are seeing profit. We are seeing profit. How do we create revenue? How do we create volume? It's easy. Now, a quick thing I want to show you is this. There is this view. You see this view? I'll click on the view. Now, I've got bookmark and selection. The first thing, let me work on the selection area first. I'll click on selection, so it's going to show you. Now, I would try to, things I need to change to be dynamic is this price and what's it called? This one and this one. These are the things that's going to change. So look at it now. If I click on this one, do you see that this is the card here? If I click on this one, do you see that this is the card now? So let's try to name, let's give it a name, a descriptive name first. So let's start with this one. Let's start with this one. We'll call this one price text box. Call it price text box. So where's the other one? You see this one? Call this one price card. Call this one price icon card. Icon card. Now, let's bring them close to themselves. 1, 2, 3. We are going to, let me start with price text box. I'll take it up. Yeah, it's okay. Price tag card. Let me take it up also. Okay, no, it's okay like this. So I have them almost together. 1, 2, and 3. So I think this one should come down. This one should come down. The order of preference. You see it now. Look at me. I will hold on Control key. I will click on this. You see that the three items has been selected. I've selected the 3 items. I can right click them now and group them. So I'll give it a name. Price group. Let me just use that word. Yeah, price group. Now look at this. Look at what I've done. I will copy. I'm clicking on it. I will click it like this. See that I'm clicking on it. So you are selected. I will Control C, Control V. Do you see it now? It's now 2. It's 2 now. Let me copy it again. Control C, Control V. Do you see now? They are now 3. Let me start from the first one. Let me move this one to the very top, please. Okay, so let me call this one. Let me rename this one first. I will rename this one as revenue group, but I've not renamed what is inside it. Revenue group, so as to know what I'm doing. Let me call this one volume group. Now, look at something. I want this price group, revenue group, and volume group to sit on top of each other. But if you look at it now, they are not sitting on each other. So I would make them sit on top of each other. So what do I do is that this is the default one that has the original positioning that I want. So I will click on, let me click on this one. I'll go to format, properties, and I'll go to position. Then let's take the value of the position, 520 by 107. 520 by 107. So I'll go on to the revenue. I'll go to the properties, position, then I'll give it 520 by 107. Enter. I'll do the same thing for this volume, properties, position, 520 by 107. So everything is seated in the same place now. If you look at it, everything is seated now. I have not changed the value. I have not changed the value now. But look at, if I turn off this one, it looks clearer now. If I turn one on, it will start looking dark because everything is on at the same time, although they are seated exactly on the same place. So let's try to work on it. Let's turn off the eye of this one. Let's focus on this one alone. Now expand this one. The text box, you see this text box now, I've clicked it. So I will change this one. I'm on revenue. I will change this one to revenue. I'll change it. I'll go on to, so I can also change the name, so that it should be more descriptive. in case somebody else in your organization wants to manage what you've done. Like most time when I develop, people that I don't know will be the one managing it. So it's better you are descriptive enough. So the next one, let's go to the card. Look at this card now. You know, this card is having YTD profit. So I will change this one. I'll take it off and go and take YTD revenue. Then still rename it. And put revenue. Then the icon. I'll click on this one. It's showing profit description. I will take it off and go and put revenue description. But remember that we add a color code to it. So I'll go on to the color value, change this field, change it from profit color to what? Revenue color, and click OK. And click OK. So I'm done with this. I can rename this as well. Revenue. Let me collapse it again. I will turn this eye off. I will turn it off. Then let me turn on this last one. You see that nothing is showing because the tree. You see that nothing is showing because these three are all turned off. So I will turn this last one off now for volume. So that let me edit what I want to do. And expand the text box first. So what I need to do is to come here and change it to what? Volume. You know why I don't clean it off to the last one is so that I will not lose my format. So it's a quick way of trying to manage things there. So I'm trying to change the name to volume text. So let's go on the card. So I'll change YTD this, I'll take it off and go and put on YTD volume. So I can still change this name. And what? Put it volume card. So the last one here is this one. I'll take off this profit description and pick up volume description. But because of the color coding that we created, so I'll change the code to color value, then click color. I'll change it to volume color. Click OK. Now, you see, at this point now, nothing is showing. If I remove the eye of this one, it will show. If I turn it off and use this one, it will show. If I turn this off and use this one, it will show. And the question is this: how do we now, rather than we can't, because when the final user, when we host this on the web, they won't have access to do all these things. So they need to use this button to do all this drilling, which is for, so that's where we are now. And at this point, please, I want everybody to take special attention to this as well, because try to see that nothing is selected. You see that all these things are the full details, so that, because we want to create a bookmark, that's what we want to do now. We want to create a bookmark. So let me show. We want to create a bookmark. So I'll bring in, let me collapse this. So you see this bookmark, I'm going to turn on this bookmark. So on this bookmark, I'll go to add. But before I had it, you see that it's only price that is on. This other two they are off. I will add. I will give it a name called price. You know, I explained to someone what bookmark is. It's like someone that is reading a book, but because you want to sleep, you stop and you fold the page you are, or you put Bible in between. So that's what we are trying to do. So this is the current state of the view. We want to snap it and keep it. So we'll now store it inside this button called profit. So you can come here and say update. That's fine. So look at the next thing. Oh, let's do create bookmark for revenue also. Turn off this eye, then turn on this one. You see it now. Add bookmark again. Rename it and call it revenue bookmark. We can update. So we've gotten that record here now. Now let's do the last one. Turn off this eye and turn on this one. And go to add bookmark. And call it volume bookmark. Then what do? Update. Now look at it now. So I'm not going to be coming here again. I can even take off this one. So look at what I will do. If I go on to price, do you see that the value change? If I go on to revenue, it changes. If I go on to this, it changes. Now let's assign it to this button. So the first thing you do is to click on this profit. When you click on this profit, go on to the format. You see an action here. Turn on this action and what type? A bookmark. What is the bookmark? Price bookmark. Okay. Go on to revenue. Turn on the action. What's this? Bookmark. Then bookmark type is what? Revenue. Go on to this. Turn on this. Go on this. Bookmark. What bookmark action? Volume. Now, if I hold on this now, if I hold on this, do you see it? Because you've not hosted it, for you to click it, you have to hold your control key. So if I hold control key and click volume, do you see it? So let's say I'm on profit now. I've gone back to profit. You can select each person now, but ensure that you didn't select anything when you are creating the bookmark, because it will create it on the state of that. So you see. So we are on, this is Katie Erickson now. Let's look at, we are on Katie Erickson. Yeah? You can look at the revenue. You get what I'm trying to say. So now you can go ahead and host this in the Power BI service that you've got. So this is the phase one of this project. So unfortunately that we've gone more than 3 hours and we are still on page one, because we're supposed to now have a page that is the analytics for each of these salesperson. You see the graphs and every other thing. So you see the graphs of every other thing. You now see the behavior, the trend and everything. So it now becomes an advanced analytics. So with this one now, I can easily push this one to the web, into the workspace for the organization, assign users that have access in the organization that can use it, how they can track all these things and so on like that. So this is like an overview. Let me call the page overview. This is an overview page. So the next page will now be individual performance. So when you click on, I'll bring up the name and you click on it, it shows you the report and every other information that is needed. So, and you can take off based on the year 2022. You see how it is. It's very poor year because everything was negative there. So 2024, as we are going now, it's still looking not too interesting. 2021, so but 2023 was actually a complete year for the organization, so which is fine. So you go back to, so we are on volume, you see, so we are on price now. So that is it for this one. So I don't know, but this is how far we can go because we've really taken your Saturday that can be used for other things as well.